Hi everyone, Marty, Snider, Jarrett. Time for a little splash and go. Let's talk about drivers, DJ, that did well at Dover, and we got to start with Alex Bowman. Nice second place finish, and he said after the race he felt like it was his most difficult track coming into it, and a well-timed second place for that team. 2 second places in a row. So how much of a bump is that for the 88 team?
Yeah, I didn't think much about it after Talladega, that, getting that second place there, they were right in position to possibly make a pass and win, but that's Talladega.
Right.
But Dover's a whole nother situation, and to go there and not being your best track showed me a lot about where this team and this driver is right now, that they're really showing some signs of being right there and putting themselves in position to win. When you put yourself in the top 5, and especially in that second spot, a lot of good things can happen. So I'm expecting even more from this team as they've seemed to figure some things out.
And they've jumped from outside the playoff standings to inside just on points, which is obviously always very good. Hey, Kyle Larson finished a race, DJ.
Oh, wow.
Well, how about that?
That's news in itself.
That's news in itself. But for that race team, listen, hey, it's a top 5, but even just to finish the race and finish where they ran, how significant?
Huge for Kyle Larson. I think mentally for Kyle Larson to get some of that confidence back and to be able to finish it off, even though I know he wanted to race for the win at the end because he had such a good car all weekend. But he still had a good, solid run. He really had become, with the way Kurt Busch has been performing over there, Larson had been kind of a secondary thought in everybody's mind when you talked about Chip Ganassi racing.
True.
But now he's back, it seems, with that. And I know it's just one weekend, but I think this is a lot to build on. Some really good tracks coming up for Kyle Larson, and hopefully this gets him set off in the right direction, as I think a lot of the Chevrolets have started to figure some things out, which means better racing.
You mentioned those Chevrolets figuring things out. Did you expect more from Jimmie Johnson at Dover? I mean, especially considering how well it seems like Hendrick Motorsports seems to be going at least the right path.
Yeah, you always do at Dover. I mean, you're talking about the man that's won the most times at this racetrack, and even on his bad days was always a top 5 or even a top 3 in that. And for him to be probably the worst running car out of the Hendrick stable for the entire day, maybe I got a lot of concerns there about what's happening. Not in Jimmie Johnson's ability, it's just the chemistry that's going on there, and where do they go from here to make it better so that we know the very talented and 7-time champ can get back to running. Right now it's just running inside the top 10, and then we'll worry about top 5s and trying to win.
You had 3 Stewart Haas cars in the top 10 for much of the day, with Daniel Suarez and Clint Boyer and Kevin Harvick having nice runs. Eric Almirola was kind of on the other end of that. Was that surprising to you, because he nearly won the race there last fall?
Yeah, it seemed they had such a good car and probably should have won that race last year. But with this rules, they had a lot of trouble in inspection, so the weekend didn't start off all that good for them, and that just seemed to continue on for whatever reason, that they went there with something different that was hopefully going to be good for their driver, but that just never materialized. And I know after you come off a career season like Eric had last year, you're expecting bigger and better things. And I think right now, all of the Stewart Haas cars just don't seem to have the speed that they need to challenge for wins. They're very solid, and as you pointed out, they ran, 3 of them ran in the top 10 a lot of the day, but it's not challenging for those victories at this point in time. So there's still some work to be done, but they have plenty of time to get there.
Talking to Eric, he said the next 3 weeks very critical for that entire organization. They found some things they think will work at the mile-and-a-half tracks at Texas, and certainly they'll implement that starting this weekend at Kansas. Let's talk Kentucky Derby. Is that okay with you?
We can, yeah.
A
little disappointed, yeah. I'm one of the many that had that.
Someone was hoping for maximum security. Obviously the NASCAR drivers took to social media right after that block that was called on maximum security and said, that's not, Rubbin's racing, that's the way to do it. But it applies to NASCAR, and you unfortunately know all too well. You had a win taken away from you in the Xfinity Series. Our own Jeff Burton had a win taken away from him in the Xfinity Series. That's a tough thing to take, isn't it, when you have something like that taken away from you?
Oh, 100%, and especially when you believe that you haven't done anything wrong. And I don't know all the rules of the Kentucky Derby and all of that as I was watching it, and had the horse that supposedly won, and so things look good there. But I'm not sure again about all of their rules. I know more of the NASCAR side, and I know when my win was taken away, I didn't believe we had done anything wrong. My intake manifold had been inspected 3 times that weekend, and then all of a sudden it became a problem after the race. So I was a little concerned with that. But we see it a lot of times. I even had a situation in Richmond in 19 1998, where we had never in the Cup Series red flagged a race within the last 5 laps of the race to make sure that we finished it under green. And I was leading the race thinking I was going to win under caution when it came out with just 3 laps to go. But then I didn't win the race because of a car that had fresher tires. So there's always something that you encounter. But the governing bodies of these sports have difficult times, and they have to make difficult decisions at that time. And you have to respect that, even though you don't feel good as a driver or as a team and an organization when these things are taken away.
Are you a fan, though, of the new NASCAR where guys are going to get DQ'd at the racetrack? If your car's illegal and you've won the race, that win's coming off
100%. That's the way my win was taken away, and I think Jeff Burton was too. You know, I'd been through victory lane, and then they found them through their inspection process later. You know, they came and got the trophy and took that away and took all my money away and everything. So I like the idea that that's what we're going to do now. I think we need to, it's time that we got to that we stop these penalties and things happening on Tuesday and Wednesday, even though some of the fans might be gone whenever they find out that there's a different race winner. And it's going to come up at some point in time as these drivers and teams scramble to try to get themselves into victory lane and not let Joe Gibbs Racing and Penske Racing dominate all of this.
No wins taken away here on Splash and Go. Always just having fun, which is always a good thing. So, hey, make sure you check out NASCAR America Motor Mouths Wednesday, 5 p.m. Eastern. AJ Allmendinger, Matt DiBenedetto. We're going to have a lot of fun right here. We'll see you then.
Hey Motorsports fans, thanks for watching. Make sure you hit subscribe before you go for all the latest news and highlights across motorsports.